Have you ever wondered why some people store everything in the refrigerator, only to realize later that their food tastes funny, spoils faster, or even makes them sick? It might surprise you, but some of the most common foods we eat actually become less healthy and less flavorful when kept cold. We tend to believe that the refrigerator is the safest place for all our groceries. After all, cold means fresh, right? Well, not always. In fact, there are a few everyday foods that can lose their nutrients, flavor, and even develop harmful compounds when stored in the fridge. And today, we're going to talk about 7 of them. Foods that many of us refrigerate out of habit, not knowing that we might be doing more harm than good. Let's start with a common kitchen favorite, potatoes. Now, most people think keeping potatoes in the refrigerator will make them last longer. But what actually happens is something called starch to sugar conversion. When potatoes get too cold, the natural starch inside them turns into sugar much faster. That doesn't sound so bad until you cook them, because when those sugars are fried, roasted, or baked at high temperatures, they create a chemical called acrylamide. And acrylamide isn't good for you. It's been linked to nerve damage and even increased cancer risk over time. So if you've been keeping your potatoes in the fridge, it's time to move them out. Instead, store them in a dark, cool and dry cupboard, ideally in a paper bag, not plastic. That keeps them fresh without triggering that chemical change. Next up, onions. It's tempting to throw onions in the fridge after you buy them, but that chilly, humid environment is their worst enemy. Cold temperatures break down their cell structure, making onions soft, watery and bland. And the fridge's moisture encourages mold growth, especially around small cuts or bruises on the surface. You might even notice that strange, musty smell that lingers. That's the mold starting to grow. Instead, keep your onions somewhere cool and ventilated, like a pantry shelf or hanging mesh bag. The air circulation helps them last longer, and you'll notice they keep their sharp flavor and crunch for weeks. Now let's talk about garlic, another powerful kitchen favorite. Garlic doesn't like cold or dampness. When stored in the refrigerator, garlic cloves often start sprouting those little green shoots in the center. Those sprouts make the garlic taste bitter instead of sharp and savory. Worse still, the humidity in the fridge can make garlic grow mold inside the cloves. You might not even notice until you cut it open, and by then, it's too late. The best place for garlic is a dry, well-ventilated spot at room temperature. You can keep it in a basket or even hang it in a small paper bag. This way, the garlic stays firm, flavorful, and fresh for months. Now let's move on to something almost everyone has in their kitchen: bread. Have you ever put bread in the fridge thinking it would stay fresh longer, only to find it becomes dry and hard within a few days? That's not your imagination. It's something called starch retrogradation, a process where the starch molecules in bread start to crystallize in cold temperatures. This makes the bread go stale much faster. And because the refrigerator can be humid, it also encourages mold to form, especially on homemade or preservative-free bread. So what's the better option? If you eat bread within a few days, keep it in a bread box or tightly sealed container at room temperature. If you want to store it longer, don't refrigerate, freeze it instead. Frozen bread stays soft and fresh for weeks, and you can simply toast it whenever you're ready to eat. Now, let's talk about something many people never think twice about: tomatoes. Tomatoes are tropical fruits, which means they're not built for cold. When you store tomatoes in the fridge, the cold temperature damages their rooper cell walls. That's why they lose that juicy, flavorful texture and become mealy and bland. You might have noticed that your fresh tomatoes stop smelling fragrant or tasting sweet after a few days in the fridge. That's exactly why. Keep your tomatoes at room temperature until they're fully ripe. If you've already cut them open, then yes, store them in the fridge, but only for a short time, and bring them back to room temperature before eating to regain some of their flavor. And now for something sweet: honey. Many people think honey should go in the fridge to keep it from spoiling, but that's actually the last place it belongs. Honey is a natural preservative. It doesn't spoil on its own, even after years. In the refrigerator, honey crystallizes quickly, becoming thick and gritty. Worse, the cold and moisture can destroy some of its healing enzymes and antioxidants, the very things that make honey good for you. If you use honey for sore throats, immunity, or energy, refrigeration makes it lose much of its power. Instead, just store it tightly sealed in a dark, dry cabinet. It'll last indefinitely without losing any of its magic. Finally, Let's talk about melons, like watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. Many people bring them home and immediately pop them into the fridge. But studies have shown that whole melons kept in cold conditions lose a lot of their antioxidants, especially vitamin C and beta-carotene. They also lose flavor, becoming less sweet and sometimes even mushy. The right way to store whole melons is at room temperature until you cut them. Once cut, then yes, refrigerate them to keep bacteria away. But don't chill them too early, or you'll miss out on both taste and nutrition. You know, it's funny how we've all grown up thinking the refrigerator is the safest place for everything. It feels like a natural reflex: buy groceries, then put them straight into the fridge. But here's the thing. The refrigerator isn't a magic box that preserves everything perfectly. It's more like a tool, and like every tool, it has to be used the right way. For seniors especially, understanding how temperature affects your food isn't just about taste, it's about safety, nutrition, and even digestive comfort. Let's go a little deeper into what actually happens to food inside that cold environment, and how a few simple changes can make your meals healthier and more enjoyable. Take potatoes, for example. You might remember I mentioned a chemical called acrylamide. Now, you can't see it or taste it. It forms when sugars and amino acids react under high heat. That means when you bake, fry, or roast your potatoes, that golden brown crisp you love might actually contain traces of acrylamide if those potatoes were refrigerated beforehand. And for older adults, especially those managing conditions like diabetes or nerve sensitivity, that's something to be aware of. The good news? The fix is so simple. Keep your potatoes in a cool, dark cupboard. A simple basket or paper bag is perfect. You'll notice the flavor improves too, less sweetness, more of that earthy potato taste we all love. Now, let's think about onions again. Have you ever opened your fridge, pulled out an onion, and found it soft or even a little slimy? That's moisture damage. Refrigerators have higher humidity levels, and that causes onions to absorb moisture from the air. The result? A mushy texture and faster mold growth. If you've ever noticed a white or green fuzz on the skin, that's mold feeding on trapped moisture. And here's something most people don't know. When onions spoil, they can produce compounds that irritate the stomach and cause bloating or gas, something seniors often experience more easily due to slower digestion. So keeping them in a dry place isn't just about taste, it's about avoiding unnecessary stomach discomfort too. Now for garlic, this one's fascinating. Garlic naturally protects itself from bacteria and mold. But when you put it in a cold, damp fridge, you take away that defense. The moisture sneaks in, and suddenly those tight cloves start sprouting or growing mold inside. When garlic sprouts, the flavor turns bitter, and when it molds, it becomes unsafe to eat. Garlic is meant to breathe. It's happiest at room temperature, in a basket or mesh bag where air can circulate. You might notice that garlic stored this way even smells better, richer, warmer, more aromatic. And that brings me to bread. Now, bread is a daily staple for many seniors, especially those who prefer lighter meals. But when you refrigerate it, you're actually speeding up the aging process. The cold temperature forces the starch molecules inside the bread to realign into crystals, making it dry and crumbly. You've probably noticed how bread straight from the fridge feels stiff, like cardboard, even when it's only a few days old. And here's something most people overlook. That same chill and moisture can encourage mold spores to grow on the surface. This can be risky because seniors are often more sensitive to mold exposure. It can irritate the respiratory system or trigger allergies. So instead of refrigeration, here's a smarter approach. Keep a small amount of bread out for daily use and freeze the rest. When you're ready to eat, just pop it in the toaster. It'll taste as fresh as the day you bought it. The freezer actually locks in freshness, unlike the refrigerator, which pulls moisture out. Now let's revisit tomatoes, because these deserve special attention. Tomatoes contain delicate enzymes that continue developing their flavor even after harvest. But when you put them in the fridge, those enzymes go dormant. Their cell walls break down, turning what was once juicy and firm into something grainy and dull. That's why chilled tomatoes taste flat. They've lost their natural ripening ability. For seniors, this can be a small but important issue. As we age, our sense of taste and smell naturally weakens, making it harder to enjoy food the way we used to. So preserving natural flavor is more than just a cooking tip, it's a way to keep eating joyful. When you let your tomatoes ripen at room temperature, You get that deep, sweet aroma and bright color that makes a simple salad or soup taste fresh again. Now, about honey, this is one of nature's miracles. Honey is naturally antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and rich in antioxidants. It can soothe sore throats, aid digestion, and even support immune health. But refrigerating honey ruins a lot of that goodness. Cold temperatures cause the natural sugars to crystallize, making it grainy and hard. More importantly, repeated temperature changes can degrade the enzymes and antioxidants that make honey so powerful. That means if you rely on honey for its healing benefits, refrigeration actually works against you. Instead, keep your honey tightly sealed, at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. If it ever does crystallize, don't panic. Just place the jar in a bowl of warm, not hot water for a few minutes. It'll turn smooth again without losing nutrients. Now, let's talk about melons, watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. Did you know that whole melons actually continue to ripen after harvest? But when you refrigerate them too soon, that natural process stops, and they start losing antioxidants, especially vitamin C and beta-carotene. The cold also affects their texture, turning the flesh from crisp and juicy to mealy and watery. For seniors who may already have a lower appetite or reduced ability to taste sweetness, that loss of flavor can make healthy eating less enjoyable. The key is timing. Keep whole melons at room temperature until you cut them open. Once sliced, then refrigerate them to prevent bacterial growth. That balance gives you the best of both worlds, maximum nutrition and safety. Now, you might be wondering, why does any of this matter so much? Well, think about it. The foods we eat every day don't just fill our stomachs, they fuel our energy, support our immunity, and affect how we feel throughout the day. For seniors especially, small changes in diet or food handling can have big effects on health. Refrigerating the wrong foods doesn't just dull flavors, it can actually lower nutrient content, encourage mold or bacteria, and make your digestive system work harder. Let's take a quick example. Imagine two meals, one made with fresh, properly stored vegetables, and one made with foods that have been sitting too long in a cold fridge. The first one will have brighter color, stronger aroma, and richer taste, all signs that it's packed with active nutrients. The second, duller, softer, and less satisfying, and over time, less nutritious too. The difference between the two isn't just cooking, it's how those ingredients were stored. So as you go through your kitchen this week, take a moment to rethink what belongs in your refrigerator. Potatoes, onions, garlic, bread, tomatoes, honey, and melons, they all do better outside the fridge when handled correctly. Keep your pantry cool and ventilated, and use baskets, paper bags, or containers that let air flow. You'll be amazed how these small adjustments not only make your meals taste better, but also help you waste less and eat safer. You might even notice that your fruits smell sweeter, your bread stays soft longer, and your favorite dishes regain that home-cooked freshness. And one last thing, don't be afraid to experiment. Every home is different. Some kitchens are cooler, some warmer. Find the storage method that works best for your space and your habits. Because food safety and flavor aren't just about rules, they're about understanding how your environment and ingredients work together. So, next time you bring groceries home, pause for just a moment before loading up that fridge. Ask yourself, does this food really belong there? That one question could save you money, protect your health, and make your meals more enjoyable every single day. If you learned something new today, or if you're ready to make a few small changes to your kitchen habits, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, which food surprised you the most? Was it potatoes, honey, or maybe tomatoes? And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more helpful health and nutrition tips designed especially for older adults who want to live smarter, stronger, and longer. Click the like button, share this video with a friend or loved one, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next update. Remember, good health doesn't always come from big changes. Sometimes it starts with the smallest habits, right there in your kitchen. Take care of yourself, eat smart, and keep enjoying the beautiful journey of healthy living. Remember, refrigeration isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Each food reacts differently to temperature and moisture. By storing them properly, you preserve the flavor, nutrition, and healing properties nature intended. And when your food tastes better, you eat better, feel better, and enjoy life more fully. So, before you restock your fridge, take a quick look inside and ask yourself, Does this food really belong here? Making that one small change today can lead to healthier, tastier meals for years to come. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more practical, science-backed health tips designed especially for seniors. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us which of these food facts surprised you the most. Until next time, keep eating smart, living well, and staying healthy.